What is up, party people? Happy Tuesday. It was off Monday. All of us were off. I was telling Chris, we need more of that. I need more of that. I work so much. I was going through just a little while ago how many days I've had off. Now, mind you, on average, I do 3 to 4 shows a day, depending on the day. I've had 7 days off, of which 2 were holidays. And I have a makeup day coming. So, apples are... Now, I come back today. I knew Belle was out. I said, Belle's not going to be here. It's okay. Ken never told me, right? So I got Jay, and I got King Louie, who, by the way, is pulling, what is this, triple duty for you, my man?
Triple duty.
Triple duty, King Louie in the house. I love that. And we got so much stuff to get to. And I was telling Chris before, she's not see what's going on at the White House. So large objects are being thrown out of a White House window. And, of course, there's all this speculation about Trump and his health. And I'm like, well, what's the speculation of this? Just out of curiosity. Do you think if he dies, they're just going to toss him out of the White House? Is that what's going to happen? Hey, guys, just nobody's looking. Just toss it out of the second story. People are so ridiculous when it comes to Trump. And that's, last night, we do a live show, usually Monday through Thursday for live stream at night. And I try to do it after our shows are all off the air here, so that way we don't compete with Matt and everybody else. And then on Sunday nights, I do a show where I kind of look forward to the week. And one of the things we talked about last night is the Democrats and their insanity and the failure to capitalize, even if there's a misstep by this White House or the Republicans themselves, because they're so bad at everything. They have nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. They don't. They've abandoned the core principles that they once held. All they care about is the destruction of Trump and this administration. They can't even capitalize if there's any misstep because they choose, as we've talked about over and over again, the worst of the things that are available to them. So if there's 3 doors, 1, 2, and 3, they pick what's the worst? 3, we're going to go with that one. Like the other 2 could be, not going to hurt you, could be great. They fail. That's what they're about. They fail over and over again. And they're going to continue to do so. And I was saying this week, like, what happens when Trump is gone? Because eventually, for those of you, I hate to bum you out, he's going to be gone at some point in time. And yes, there's worry about his health and stuff of that nature. I'm not too worried, but I also want to be honest with you. He's 80 almost. The 80-year-olds have issues. Right? Like, this is not about whether or not I think he's going to die tomorrow. That stuff's incredibly insane that people push that stuff out there. I don't think any of that stuff, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, is anything out of the realm of possibility? No. Because he's 80. Well, going to be 80. He's doing the hardest job on the planet, especially stress. Is he looking 80 at times? Yeah, but we'd all like to look that good. Let's be real. According to the actuaries, he's lived past his sell-by date. And he's took on the most insane, stressful job on the planet. Go and look at the things that we've seen in the past with, George Bush goes in, and Barack Obama, Clinton and all of them. Go and look at them and then see what they look like when they come out. And then 3 or 4 years later, they've got a different look, a more relaxed look. What you take on this job is everybody's problems on the planet. From trying to deal with the likes of China, Ukraine, all of that stuff, Israel, to dealing with the economy here, to dealing with, people in your own party, to dealing with the other party, to dealing with the media. It is a thankless job at times. And yes, you can build a legacy and all of those kind of things, but just the stress alone. I was telling somebody last night, he's not some guy that lives on some small island outside of Italy or Japan, and he does Chai Chi all day, and he eats nothing but, a fresh food, not even farm to table, literally from next to the table onto the table. It's not who he is. He has a diet like I do, like a 5-year-old. The fact that he hasn't drank and smoked has helped him. But we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't think at some point in time, he's almost 80. I'm going to expect some slowdown. But the thought that he has died was incredible. this weekend. And then the lunatics out there who are running around going, well, he's really sick and this should not be ignored. You lost the opportunity to ever talk about these things when you ignored the last White House. Anybody in the establishment media lost that opportunity whatsoever. The only reason that Biden was found out was simple. We saw it in real time. And there was zero ways, and I mean 0 ways, for them to ignore it. This is the best version of Biden. When we're not looking, he's doing jumping jacks, and he's riding a unicycle, and he's doing juggling, and he's writing poetry in one hand, and in the other hand, he's sculpting something. That was all BS. And you've lost the opportunity to have a say in this, no matter how much you want it.
These health rumors, he only has himself to blame. And the entire Trump world only has themselves to blame for this, right? They live in this world of conspiracy and misinformation. They manufactured all sorts of garbage, whether it's about Hillary Clinton's health in 2016, Joe Biden's health in 2020 or 2024. My goodness, they've started congressional hearings based on rumors they created and manufactured on all things having to do with Biden and this auto pen and all this nonsense. So guess what? Good for the goose, good for the gander. All weekend long, where's Donald Trump? How come we're not seeing him? Bottom line is he's clearly got some health issues.
Yeah, he does. Because, first of all, he's 80. Most 80-year-olds I know take some pills, have some form of high blood pressure or health issues. That's just life. When you get older, we always joke about it here, whether it's Bell, Ken, or I. We take a nap, we wake up, our neck hurts, right? You got to take pills, magnesium. What about this? Oh, get my Metamucil. That is life. The stress of this job cannot be, you can't even pretend to overstate what goes on. And yes, and here's the other thing. Trump enjoys some of the stress. He leans into it. He also makes some stuff far more stressful for himself than he needs to. But the reality is he's still alive. Okay, Democrats, and you lost the opportunity to have any say when you ignored what everybody said. When everybody out there came up with some sort of an excuse or never asked the question or never even pondered outside of one person at Axios and a few people like Mark Halperin who are independent, never pondered the fact that there's a guy in the White House who basically tells everybody by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we're done for the day. Who never holds a press conference. Trump did 2.5 hours. He also did an interview on Friday. He did 2.5 hours last week, right? 3 hours, whatever it was. He did an interview on Friday. And yeah, he probably has a few issues. I mean, you can't deny the fact that he's got his ankles are a problem. That usually means poor circulation. When it comes to the heart, can mean some other stuff, but I think that's a worrying sign. Some of the stuff on his hands. Yeah, ask the question. Do I think they're going to be forthright in it? No. But do I think he's dead? No. The fact that I saw that this weekend, it was trending. Trump's dead. And I'm like, well, I haven't been told by anybody else that he's dead. So I'm going to go with no. But this craziness from the media of like, well, where is he? He did this to himself. What about this? You lost that opportunity. You had an opportunity to absolutely 100% break a story during the last administration of a guy that, not since FDR had we been in a situation where they were like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get away with this? And his wife, you guys don't know, FDR's wife was basically doing everything for a while after yet another stroke. This isn't that. But there's stress. I expect that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that there's stress. This is part of the job. He's handling it so far. And he deserves a break every once in a while. I was watching Soccer and Jet. He said, look, normally during his last presidency, this is what happened. On Thursdays, he'd bounce down to Florida, play some golf, and then he'd come home Sunday, and he'd work from there. And no, you didn't get to go out and watch him play golf. That didn't happen. Everybody stayed inside that was with the press pool. You stay inside the food cafeteria area. And he goes out, he plays his golf. He comes back. Maybe he gives you something, maybe he doesn't. Then he goes on his way. We're all allowed to have a day off. We are. And you don't have a day off, too. That's the other thing. Even whether you like Biden or not, it's never sitting at the beach doesn't mean there's a day off. Hitting golf balls doesn't mean somebody can't come up to you immediately and say, hey, we got a real issue we've got to deal with. What do you think we should do here, here, and here? We got to handle this. That's just part of it. It is. So slow your roll. He's not dead. We're going to find out. He's supposed to, I think it's 1 o'clock, Jay? Is that when it's 1 o'clock our time that they're supposed to have something?
Yes, I believe your time on that is correct. Some big defense announcement.
Yeah. So some sort of, I've heard some Space Force may stuff be in there, but as well as moving from the Department of Defense to Department of War, which is, I think, a fair assessment because we don't really defend much, but we do war. And I have a feeling that's what they're going to roll into. So that could be coming up here in a little bit. We'll make sure we grab some of that as well. Bunch of stuff to get to today. We got some crazy stories, some interesting stories. Some interesting stories because we do that. We got a little Hot Take Tuesday. Now, I didn't know all of the guys weren't going to be here today. So I've got a hot take, and I'm going to throw it out to you. And we'll see if you guys have hot takes as well. Remember, our hot takes, guys, are non-political. Non-political. I did a hot take on my national show today that was very political. This is a non-political hot take. You give me something, and like I said, just an example, if you haven't heard the show before, the first time we did this was I didn't think the Beatles were the greatest band. I thought they were average at best. Second time it was, I thought The Godfather was, it was okay. Wasn't great. Thought it was okay. But it was not what everybody expects it to be. So we gave you the hot takes, and we want to hear from you guys. You can text the program as well as shoot us a tweet at Chad Benson Show, ChadBenson. But we got a ton of stuff to get to today, including helicopter parents, which I found this interesting. The things that happen when you helicopter parent, which is fascinating. And there are 9 things that happen that are detrimental to your kids, and how we've got a bunch of kids right now that are stressed in ways that we've never seen before, that are struggling in ways that we've never seen before. And a lot of that goes more to parenting than it does anything else, because it's one of the things I've always said, and I know Matt said it as well. They didn't raise themselves. They didn't. They did not raise themselves. No. Plus a bunch of other stuff, some political stuff as well. And like I said, right around 1 o'clock today, Trump will be speaking from the Oval Office. I'm sure he's going to inform everybody he's still alive. So we'll probably take some of that live as well. Reach out to us across all of our social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble now, and Facebook. And you can always tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. And if you're missing the show, we always say, shame on you. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
In the order by U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer, he writes, quote, the evidence at trial established the defendants systematically used armed soldiers whose identities were often obscured by protective equipment and military vehicles to set up protective perimeters and traffic blockades, engage in crowd control, and otherwise demonstrate a military presence in and around Los Angeles, end quote. He wrote, in short, defendants violated the Posse Comitatus Act. That law makes it illegal for the government to use a military for domestic law enforcement. The ruling is stayed until September 12th to allow the president to appeal.
Not a shocker that happened. I think most people expect that. And I was watching Chris earlier today talk about what's going on in Chicago. And I know he was talking to somebody about, well, we should go in there. And the guy that he was chatting with said, no, I don't think we should. Myself, look, it's 15 areas in Chicago that are bad. You take away those 15 areas, and things change drastically as far as the numbers. There's plenty of other cities out there that have worse murder numbers or violent crime numbers, but states and cities, this is what voting is all about. We want states' rights, right? We want to be able to allow that. If you want your city to fail, if that is your goal, is to allow this stuff to happen in certain areas because you want to get on some sort of high horse, right? Whether that's the mayor, who's just an absolute idiot, then so be it, right? You've gone from bad to worse, from Lightfoot, right, to Johnson. You've gone from bad to worse. You've gone from somebody who is kind of woke to somebody who's just an activist LARPing as a mayor. And if this is what you want, then let it be. Right? Because I know, it doesn't, I broke down the actual numbers, but we'll give them to you a little bit later. But let me just say this. From about 29,000 to about 54,000 in these 15 areas, that is the median income of the people in and around these areas. In the rest of Chicago, in Illinois, 75 to 121,000, depending if you're looking at the city or the state itself. There is a whole host of reasons this place in certain areas is a nightmare. But you got to fix who you're voting for first. And who you're voting for is the reason you're in the mess you're in, because they're trying to nice their way out of stuff. They're trying to woke their way out of stuff. They're trying to do stuff that isn't going to help long term because they're not being honest with the people that live there. So why should you save them if they don't want to save themselves? It's a fair question. It is Hot Take Tuesday. So we do hot takes. Louis, do you have a hot take today? Do you have some sort of hot take? Because I haven't really hit you with one.
Come back to me.
All right, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to Louis in a little bit. My hot take today. Some of you might get mad. By the way, got some of the hot takes are country music is officially dead. Alabama football's overrated. Oh, that's a yes. I think they are overrated. That being said, every year they're still in the mix because if you play in the SEC and you're decent, you're going to be in some sort of mix, and you're always going to get, because of where you are, you can get the high profile players. But my hot take today, I like sausage over bacon. I love bacon. Let me tell you something. I absolutely love bacon. But if I could only eat one, I think I'm going to go with sausage as long as it's got some spice to it. Ooh, look at that right there. Little hot take there. Somebody said a good hot take is burgers should be wider, not taller. I like that. Wider, not taller. I like that. So instead of going up, you want to go out. Although that's kind of odd. But you know what? We went to the zoo on Friday and got to see all the cool things. Sebastian, the Komodo dragon, was out. He's awesome. He's ginormous. Found out how many Komodo dragons. I think they have 7. I think they have 4 females and 3 males. But the burger we got, which was delicious, it is actually way wider than the, it was kind of interesting. It was almost like you could tear it apart. But I like that. But for me, sausage, as long as it's spicy, it's got to have a little spice to it. If it's just regular sausage and regular bacon, I'll take regular bacon. But it's got the spice to it. If I only had one, it would be that, which is crazy for me. Let me know what you guys think. Blasphemy, says Jason. Jelly roll is terrible. Anti-bacon shame. I didn't say I hated bacon. I didn't say that. I just said if I had to choose one, I like sausage over bacon. Let me know what your hot take is. Can be on anything. We'll get back to Louis in a little bit and ask him what his hot take is. By then, he should know. A lot of stuff still to get to. More on what's coming up at 1, potentially. Just a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the world, including this weekend. And I'll be honest, the White House is kind of poo-pooing it, but you can't. Because we saw Modi and Xi and the Pooter and several others come together, and that should be somewhat alarming because we, I think, are swinging and missing at some of the foreign policy stuff that we're going after in the hopes that we're going to end something when it comes to Ukraine. And I don't know if it's working the way he thought it was going to work. Talk about that, among other things, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Little Hot Take Tuesday. Some of you guys make me laugh. You're like, so you hate bacon, you libtard. I don't hate bacon. I just said I prefer sausage. Several of you have chimed in and said, you know what? Sausage is something that can be standalone, where bacon, not so much. Now, you could eat a pound of bacon, but is it standalone meat? No, not so much. Not so much. Several others are chiming in about The Simpsons being overrated. Dr. Pepper is the most overrated drink. Oh, I could see that. I could see that. I was never a Dr. Pepper fan. It was weird. I always thought Dr. Pepper tasted purple. I don't know why. because it didn't look purple. It just felt like that. I don't know if it was the can or whatever. But I was never a huge Dr. Pepper fan. It's a hot take, though. For me, I said today, sausage. I believe sausage is better than bacon. Both of them are A+. But if I had to have one, I can't eat any other. They said, this is it, your choice, this is the future. You eat one, that's it. I'm going with sausage. I'm just going with sausage. Meanwhile, over the weekend, a bunch of people that normally don't get together got together, held hands, sing Kumbaya, which is interesting. And there's some serious issues here. There is. There are some serious issues when it comes to, and we need to be honest, the tariffs aren't working when it comes to India. India and China have done something where they have made their nations essentially able to cocoon themselves in the event that something goes sideways and foreign influence wants to come in. Okay? Right? So whether it's the rupee, whatever, China's foreign currency, they want to be able to have full control over everything. And Modi looked at Trump when he put on those things and said, nah, not going to do it. And Peter Navarro's become quite the star over there, talking about, why are you doing this, Modi? Why are you doing all these kind of things? Why aren't you? Because we're doing this to try to get them to stop buying Russian oil, right? We thought we were going to crush them and they were going to capitulate, stop buying Russian oil because the Russian war machine is moving on. Putin's got nothing to worry about. He doesn't fear anything at this moment in time. He's losing, on average, up to 7,000 soldiers a day. Think about that for a second. Those are like World War II numbers, World War I numbers. Those were armies battling globally, not in an area. Ukraine's having to pull up pregnant women, elderly men to try to make up for the shortfall in some of these areas. And the thought was, well, if we hurt them, India's not going to buy their oil, which will slow down their machine. And that didn't work. And what it has done is make Modi, there's a bunch that goes into Modi and Trump, say, you know what, maybe I'll hang out with these guys for a while.
India's Prime Minister Modi joining Xi and Putin Monday, jointly representing over 3 billion people and militaries over 4.5 million strong, standing shoulder to shoulder, laughing, smiling, sending a clear message and challenge to Trump over sanctions and tariffs. Modi's locked in this battle with the US over tariffs, pledging partnership with China. President Xi, in the swipe at the US, calling for opposition to, quote, Cold War mentality and bullying.
Somewhat. It's what we do, right? I mean, walk softly, carry the big stick. I think it was on this day that he said that, actually. Those many years ago. 1902, I think he said it. Walk softly, carry a big stick. Well, we have not walked softly. We've carried a big stick. We've dragged it around. We've pushed people around, and they said no. That's why we're totally fine with Ukraine going after the oil infrastructure, because there is no issue here in any time soon that is going to cause Putin to come to the table. Trump is frustrated and he's pissed about this. He's very frustrated. Why wouldn't you be? You thought maybe you could, but that had been taken away from him long before he met with him. All those cards we talked about, those cards had already been played. There was nothing he could do. And now with this at Modi, he's gone over and said, you know what? I'll be seen with Xi. To give you guys an understanding of the disdain that China has with India is they fight all the time. There is always a border battle going on, a skirmish. Ken and I always joke, you can go online and watch them. They will come across the border and they'll fist fight each other. Then they'll run back across the border. They don't like each other. But they feel like, okay, if you're going to come after us, because you didn't really go after China. So come after us. We'll say, fine, whatever, and we'll go buy our cheap stuff from Russia still, which will continue to see the war machine motor on and motor on and motor on. And it is. It's going to continue to be so. And they could come out and say it's not a big deal. It's a frustrating thing. People are dying every single day. The one thing that has semi-equalized this, if you can say there's an equalization, is the fact that we have given them, for every one soldier that Ukraine has, we can give them an extra 3 by the technology. And that's what I think is going to happen now, is they're going to ramp it up and really go after their infrastructure. If you take away the money, you take away the means to making war. And they don't care about numbers. They don't care about the people. China doesn't care about the people. North Korea's hanging out. They don't care about the people at all. I mean, that was also one of the things this week. You had North Korea, you had Iran, you had them all there. What do they have in common? Right now, they have a disdain for us.
Kim Jong-un is here at his train seen pulling up into Beijing. This is a very rare trip outside of North Korea for that reclusive leader. And we were driving along Beijing's Chang'an Avenue near Tiananmen Square a little earlier. Security was extremely tight, so we couldn't even actually get out the car. But what we could see is under that iconic picture of Mao Zedong at Tiananmen Square, a red carpet had been rolled out. And it's on that platform that President Xi will stand side by side with Putin and Kim.
And Modi and Putin spent about an hour driving around in the motorcade together because Modi's frustrated. Modi thought, you know what, yeah, I could deal with Trump, but he's India first. And by the way, it's not just Ukraine. This has a lot to do with Israel as well, and because of Iran. So there's a lot that goes into this. This is not about trash. Somebody says you're trashing Trump because we cut everything by $4 trillion. First of all, we've not cut anything by $4 trillion at all. CBO doesn't count because that's over a 10-year period, of which this thing will never see 10 years in the light of day. The one big beautiful bill and all these tariffs. Secondly, the tariffs, I don't even know where they're going to be because they have to go to the Supreme Court. And third, I don't care how much you think you're going to cut something. If you outspend what you bring in, it means very little. And as of next year, they're already outspending what they're bringing in. This is not about Trump and whatnot. It's about the fact that by the way, even before Trump, we've used the bully pulpit before. We think people want to be like us. China's whole thing is, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. That's kind of their jam. The problem is, Taiwan, that's a big deal. Because of, would it be this big of a deal if we had chips here that we knew that we could manufacture and make? I don't know. I don't know how much of a quote-unquote big deal it would be. I think that's a huge part and plays into it. China's going to do whatever China wants to do, and we're not going to react to it in the way, because we're too busy looking at Ukraine. We're too busy seeing what's going on in Israel. This just isn't going the way that Trump wanted. Has zero to do with Trump. Long before Trump got there was all kinds of issues with these. Has he helped it? No. I think he hasn't helped it in this sense. I think at this point in time, you've got to decide, what are we going to do with Ukraine or not with Ukraine? I read today that the Euros, in particular France, who's kind of already said, well, we're really not sure we want to be involved in this war, but we're going to get on a war footing. And that war footing is they're preparing everybody at the hospitals and through medical side of stuff for a potential world war next year by March if things don't change. They're expecting something where they, of course, would not really be involved, but that's where the wounded and individuals will go. Take it for what it's worth. It's France. They're already surrendering and they haven't gotten into anything. But this is going to be an ugly mess because it is not going to stop. And from the people I talk to, we're going to talk to my buddy Mike Lyons a little bit later and play you some of that. I talked to him today. They expect this thing to go on another 2 years at least, which is, how many more deaths are we going to have? But if it's not your man, right? And it's not, he doesn't care. And if we can't cripple them financially, because the whole, when this all happened, everybody thought, well, Ukraine's going to be easily crippled. Right? But no, they managed to stand strong. We gave them a bunch of stuff. And so every day they survive. It was great. And we showed what a paper tiger the people on the front lines were for Russia. But they have so many. Take away one, here comes, it's like a shark's teeth, right? It's just a nonstop row of teeth. One falls out, another one comes. One falls out. That's the way Russia's has always fought. And so we thought, well, if they're going to stand Ukraine, what can we do to help them? We got to try to do everything we can sanctions-wise. The most sanctioned nation on earth, Russia. 20,000 plus sanctions. Their war economy is not dead. Go online and look. It's still going. And as long as they can sell oil at the rate that they are, they're going to survive. And they're going to be able to retool as long as they have friends like North Korea is willing to give them up to 20,000 soldiers at a time. Being told, by the way, you either die here or you go to the front lines and take your chances. And by the way, if you don't want to go, we're going to kill you and your family. So it's an ugly situation, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. But we're not going to sanction our way out of this. And we've pushed Modi over. Now, I think if push came to shove, he'd just go neutral and everything. But still, that didn't work. Whatever's happening isn't going the way that Trump wants, isn't going the way, by the way, the Europeans want. Because this wasn't just a slap at us. This was a slap to the Euros as much as it was to us. And let's be real, the Euros aren't always a united front because some of them are very like, we don't want stuff to happen, but maybe it will. And do we really need to be involved? Because they all want America to be the not only the land of the free, but the keeper of freedom and push it out to everybody. Some nations don't want to live that way. The question is going to be, how far are we willing to go in this situation? How much more are we willing to do? Let me know. It is Hot Take Tuesday. Did you get a hot take there, Louis?
Yeah, I think that power slap is probably the dumbest sport ever.
That is an absolutely...
I think you have to, have no brains to want to... Do they even get paid?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think they get paid a lot. If you guys have never seen Power Slap, and this is, what's his name? It's Dana's thing right now, right? Didn't he buy the whole thing? It's where you stand, where you would look like you would stand normally when you're doing arm wrestling, put your hands behind your back, and then somebody, he almost windmills or she almost windmills, and then they slap you as hard as they can, and they've got people behind you because so many people get knocked out cold. And I can't watch it. I find it to be disturbing.
It is. It's very disturbing.
And I don't know people who do, but it's popular.
I seen a video where someone was actually training for it. How do you train yourself to go to a slap match to see who slaps who the hardest?
Yeah. I don't know. What is that training like?
Man, so they're practicing form, standing the ground, and it's a lot of back end stuff. But it's just something that I just think it's just a waste of time.
It's weird and it's a waste of time. It is. I mean, I look at the MMA and UFC and I see, you've got sport, you've got, discipline, you've got all this stuff. This is just how good is your jaw and face?
Facts.
That's it. All right, coming up, we got more stuff. Got some of your text messages. Hot Take Tuesday. My hot take is, if I had to have one, I love bacon, but if I had to have one, bacon or sausage, and I could eat no more than that, just those two, as far as meat, I would pick sausage over bacon every time. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.